Is Bali really worth it, or is it a jungle paradise or a tourist hell? Here is my total honest opinion to help you decide if it's really worth spending your hard-earned cash travelling here, or whether you should simply book somewhere else. So when we first arrived in Bali, we were not impressed. Straight away when at the airport, it was packed and hard to find our Uber. When we eventually were in the Uber, we were stuck in traffic for ages. It was absolutely gridlocked, with cars bumper to bumper. Ubud Centre was busy, so much traffic, small paths, and definitely, in my opinion, too many people in a small space. It was definitely not for us. We knew then that Bali wasn't going to be the paradise we were after, or so we thought. We couldn't take any more of the busy Ubud Centre, so decided to escape up north. And what we saw next really did surprise us. I am sure I'm not going to pronounce this right, so I'm going to write it on the screen now. We went to these absolutely amazing rice terraces. We were absolutely blown away. We really couldn't believe our eyes. Here's the map of the routes you can walk through the rice terraces. Our driver left us at the bottom of the track and we met him at the top. We were able to take our time and wander through, watching people farm their land and marvel at the beautiful views of Mount Bator in the distance. We went there early in the morning and I think it was the best time to go because it was super quiet, super relaxing, and this has to be on your top 5 things to do in Bali. There is a small price to pay, but I think it was so worth it because it supports the farmers and the views are simply spectacular. You have to see it for yourself. After this, our expectations were quite high and our next destination did not disappoint. We visited Ulun Danu Beratan Temple on Lake Beratan in the mountains, and it almost looks like it's floating when the water rises, which makes it look super unique and photogenic. It was built in the 17th century and is dedicated to the goddess of water, who's really important for agriculture in Bali. So this place isn't just stunning, it's also deeply spiritual and meaningful to locals. What I love most is the atmosphere. It's cool, misty and really calm and a peaceful place to walk around. You can walk through the gardens, take photos or just enjoy the views of the mountains around as well as the lake. If you're ever in Bali, this is definitely a must visit spot. Next we had a lunch spot and enjoyed the view, and then visited some waterfalls which you really do not want to miss. I think these might have been some of the best waterfalls I have ever seen. They were Branu Mala and Branu Emerfa and were both absolutely stunning. At Branu Wana you actually got 2 waterfalls for the price of one. All of them were just so aesthetically pleasing to the eye. I just loved the lush green backdrop and the entrances to these waterfalls I thought were so beautiful. At Branu Mala there's quite a few concrete steps which lead you down to the waterfall, so it might be a little bit steep for some people walking back up. But for us it was great to stretch our legs from being in the car. Both these waterfalls were actually quite busy, but we still did feel that we could enjoy them, dip our feet in the water and just wonder at the beauty. After a busy day we really needed coffee, so we drove to Wonogiri Coffee Plantation, a small family run business where they grow, dry and process the beans themselves. We decided to have a guided tour of the coffee plantation, guided by the owner's daughter I believe, and although she spoke very little English, she guided us through the plantation, showing us different trees and plants, including a cinnamon tree. Then, to the best bit, we had a tasting of the different coffees, including the luwak coffee. Kopi luwak coffee is an Indonesian coffee. Coffee beans are eaten and digested by the Asian palm civet, which changes the flavour of the coffee beans. They are taken out of their feces and cleaned and roasted on site, making a delicious cup of coffee. I did have to keep telling myself it's delicious, especially when you start thinking about the process of the beans, but in all seriousness, this was a lovely family run business located in a beautiful setting. Our next visit our driver recommended to us, as we told him we'd like to visit more temples, so we ended up visiting a temple called Taman Ayan. Sorry for the pronunciation. Located in Mengwi, this stunning temple is surrounded by a wide moat, making it look like it's floating on water, which already makes it feel really special. Taman Ayan actually means beautiful garden, and you can really see why. The grounds are filled with lush greenery, peaceful pathways, and traditional Balinese architecture. The temple was built in the 17th century by the royal family of Mengwi and is an important part of Bali's spiritual and cultural heritage. While visitors can't enter the inner sanctum, you can still walk around and admire the multi-tiered shrines called Miro Towers rising into the sky. What I really loved about this place is how calm and serene it felt. It's less crowded than other temples, so you can really take your time and soak it all in. We walked around the grounds. It was super quiet, super relaxing, and it was great to be able to discover another part of Bali. If you're exploring Bali, this is definitely a hidden gem worth adding to your list. So here's my honest opinion. Was Bali actually worth it? Honestly, yes and no. We've had some incredible moments here, the waterfalls and temples and places that genuinely took our breath away. But at the same time, not everything lived up to the hype. Spots like the sacred monkey forest sanctuary in Ubud felt a bit too crowded and touristy for us. And I think that's the reality of Bali. It really does depend on where you go. So am I glad we came? 100%. Would I come back? Probably not. Because for me, the best part of travelling is discovering somewhere new. And Indonesia has so many islands still waiting to be explored. So if you've watched this far, you might want to stick around because the next adventure could be somewhere completely different. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on Bali. Have you been before or are you going on your next trip? I'd really love to hear from you. Subscribe as my next video might just help you with your next holiday. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Goodbye!